can't keep a hold of these books.
Do you suffer from books that constantly fall out of your hands? Try The Broken Scale by Nick Clausen.
Oh, a paper cut.
We're also on digital.
This is too floppy.
Also in hardback. Broken Scale. Amazon. Amazon.com. Didn't somebody sell bath water one time?
I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon had some.
I'm still needed.
Meanwhile,
Could you choke a little quieter, please, sir?
Nick Squared.
And we are back. Another week. Another bunch of nerd stuff that has happened. As always, I am Food Safety Manager Nick.
I am Captain Nick.
Ah, son of a gun. That's such a good one. It's been a week. Thanksgiving has come and gone. How was your Thanksgiving, sir?
Oh, it was fantastic. Yours?
It was good.
I didn't burn our house down with
That's
a
always good.
boiling pot of oil and a bird in it. So that was nice.
I did not see nearly as many videos this year. I feel like people are learning.
There's been enough videos.
There's enough YouTube videos where people are just turn it off. Turn it off. So are you and your family, are you guys big Thanksgiving people?
Yeah. Well, we're all cooks.
Oh.
So it's our favorite holiday because we all get to come try to show up one another.
Right on, right on. Working retail my entire adult life, I can give two craps over Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, I was in the same boat until recently. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, for first 10 years of first at least 5 years of mine and my wife's marriage, there's no holidays.
Why stop at Thanksgiving? We don't want Christmas, Easter, or 4th of July either. I did. This is my first year I watched Macy's Day Parade.
Really?
Sat down and we watched it.
Isn't it insane how people are entertained by it?
I thought it was me. I thought I was so out of touch. I didn't know half the people that were up there. And they're like, it's award-winning. So I didn't know who these people were. And then like Sean Paul shows up. I haven't heard that name since 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And he just came out of hibernation and said, by the way, I'm still making music. And it was neat for a second. They're balloons.
Yeah, well, that's an old concept, and back in the day, entertainment was so sparse.
This is great. They're
but
balloons.
Going to a parade in person is one thing.
Yes.
Watching a parade on TV is a whole nother level of what are we doing?
Yes, and I think the fact that the camera angles would have these musicians obviously not singing their songs live. It's 40 degrees in New York. Ambient noise would be insane. They're not. Then they would pan over to the audience. Half the audience is playing on their phones, not paying attention. And the other half of the audience are trying to dance in the cold, but it's off with the music. There's a delay. So they're dancing off beat to everything. And it was very awkward. Very, very, very awkward. The only parade to this day that I still enjoy watching, besides the Turbo Man parade, is the dinosaur parade from We're Back.
Oh yeah.
See?
Yeah.
That parade was it had dinosaurs. Well, I'm glad you had a great Thanksgiving. We got a great show ahead of us today. Got a lot of really important topics to talk about. One of them, it's kind of no, it's not kind of. It's actually very sad. We lost the Green Ranger.
Yeah, and totally unexpected, obviously.
Totally unexpected. Have you read up on what happened?
I think they're saying it was self.
It was. Apparently, they're releasing some of the statements, and this is according to the information that's out there right now. That him and his wife, who she had left him earlier this year, they were trying to work things out, and were in a hotel and had a huge argument, so bad so that security had to be called to separate them.
Oh no.
And then I guess he went to his room and she went to her room, and she started texting him and he didn't respond, and she called him and he didn't respond, and they checked on him and he was gone. And that's the thing, this losing idols of our childhood is hard.
Right.
Losing idols of our childhood to something we can point our finger at, cancer or something like that. That's bad. That's we can come around that. But then when it's something like this, and of course with all of them, you look back at his last few videos and they're cries for help, all of them, and everybody's sitting back watching him go. I'm in a rough spot, but I'm going to make it through it, and you just feel terrible about it. But this year we've lost a couple superheroes, a couple of big people from our childhood.
Yeah. Robbie Coltrane.
Yeah. Do you feel old? Do you ever just sit back and you see these people and you watch them pass and you realize we're not children anymore?
Yeah. It's makes you think about your own mortality when someone as young as Jason David Frank's dead.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, when he died last year or the year before.
Yeah, here recently.
That guy was not even 10 years older than... I think he was he wasn't even 10 years older than you.
No, not me, because I'm the old one here.
Yeah.
I'm the old man in the group.
Can go anytime. Enjoy your lives, people.
Absolutely. Make the most of it.
If there's a girl you want to talk to her.
If there's a podcast you want to do it.
Yeah.
Do it. But we're here to also talk about some really, really big topics. One of the big in the video game world is the new Pokemon games have dropped. And apparently they are glitchy as heck. Pokemon, I don't know for you listeners out there, Pokemon has been a staple in my life since the 90s. Through the anime, through the games. I didn't even question the fact that Ash didn't age until just a few years ago. I finally sat back and realized, wait a minute.
In fact, he looks younger.
Every year. It wasn't until here recently that I sat back. I think actually this year in this season I saw a post, he wins the Pokemon League for the first time in like 23 years. And I sat back and I was like, he did it.
Yeah.
Finally did it.
But Brock and Misty weren't there.
Nope, so it doesn't count.
Jesse and James were. And they were in the crowd cheering our boy on.
Were they really?
I don't know, but they were there.
Sure. Now, this brings up an interesting...
The true protagonist of the show.
True hero. How, and this is something I'd also like to know from our listeners, how often do you actually sit down and watch out full shows versus you see a tidbit of it on Facebook or YouTube? You're like, that's good enough. I don't need to see the rest of it. I've seen this big scene. I'm done. I'm good.
I've done it.
I've done it a lot, sadly.
Yeah. My attention span's pretty short, so...
I feel like everybody's is now. The way everything's changed. Avatar coming out in a few weeks, and they're saying that there's going to be a version of it that's almost 5 hours long. I can't sit for 5 hours.
I bet that Avatar movie's not real.
What do you mean it's not real?
It's a bait and switch. They hadn't made an Avatar movie.
It's going to get pushed back.
Yeah.
Just keep getting pushed back.
It's 12 years. It's going to get pushed back 12 more years.
They're saying that they need to make $2 billion to break even.
See, it needs to break every box office record ever set to break even.
Break even.
Bold. I don't think it will.
What a movie. What a movie.
Unless people go just so it's like, just for like, I have to go because we have to go see Avatar, not because we want to be entertained, but we got to help out James Cameron. He needs the help.
I will say, I did that for Sonic, the first Sonic movie.
You wanted him to have the money.
No, remember they released the animation for Sonic. They released the trailer, and he looked terrible.
And then they fixed it.
They fixed it.
And they deserve to win because of that.
They listened to their fans. So we went and saw, which of course we loved the movie. My son's a diehard Sonic fan. Good movie. Jim Carrey does phenomenal. We enjoyed it a lot, but that really, I mean, how many times have we watched movies or TV shows and you know that the higher ups they don't know what the fans really want.
No, it's half of everything now.
So the fact that they heard the masses on social media came out and said, hey, Sonic looks like a trash panda, please redo. And they said, you know what? We're going to invest the money and time, push the movie back, redo the whole animation for the whole movie because the fans want it. That was enough for me to spend $37 on 2 movie theater tickets.
That makes sense. They earned it, and the movie turned out great. So.
Movie turned out great. But speaking of Pokemon, this is something that it's been circling around for a little bit, and it has come across my table and started many a conversation. Gen 1. You're in Pallet Town. Close your eyes for a second.
Okay.
Everything's pixelated.
Yeah.
Everything's blue or red, or some variation thereof of blue and red. That's your whole color palette.
Various shades of these colors.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful 8-bit music in the background. And you have to pick a starter. Absolutely, absolutely. This old man has just saved you from the grips of death in the grassy fields by, I think it wasn't it a Pidgey, or I don't remember what it was.
I think it was a Rattata.
But so he pulls you out. You get a starter. Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander. Wrong.
So, no, listen. So you're in the world of Pokemon.
You're in the world of Pokemon.
You're in Pallet Town.
In Pallet Town.
I'm going with Charmander, like I always do. I blow through that game with Charmander.
Everybody, I regret to inform you that other Nick is no longer a member of the Nick Squared podcast. Because that's Charmander.
Now listen. Now, if the question was, what starter would you pick if Pokemon were real here? I'd pick Venusaur. I mean, Bulbasaur, and then train him up to a Venusaur, and then that's my muscle. That's what helps me move, and there's no use for a flying, terrifying dragon monster.
Not a dragon.
Not a dragon.
Not a dragon. Fire flying. Back then it was just fire.
No, what would you pick? Let me hear your answer here.
So my first time when I played the game, I didn't know anything about it. This was 1996, 1997. I was 7 or 8 years old. We were actually on our way to a conference in Europe, and my parents got me a purple Game Boy Color and the Pokemon Blue. So I thought you had to pick the one that was on the box. So I picked Squirtle because Blastoise was on the game cartridge. So I thought you had to pick it. But I didn't know this. But when they designed the Pokemon games, that Bulbasaur was considered like easy, your easy mode of the game. Right. Squirtle was more of a hard, and then Charmander was the hardest one.
You could blast through the first 2 gyms with Bulbasaur.
So I always picked Bulbasaur. Obviously, I thought Charmander was awesome. But also, back then you just had those little animated sprites that didn't move and were extremely squared. So Charizard didn't look phenomenal.
Yeah, but in your brain.
In my brain, Venusaur was like a giant Stegosaurus-looking dinosaur.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was this giant toad thing. And it wasn't until later on in life that I realized, like, I didn't know measurements were on the Pokedex. I never read the Pokedex. And then going back in my adult years when I played, and like Raticate is like a 2.5 foot tall rat.
Yeah.
Some of these are terrifying. And Charizard is only like 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
So not even big enough to fly on.
Right. Some of those Pokemon are pretty insane inside. If you look at like, the later games that has it, with a picture next to a little human silhouette.
Yes.
And I just don't think they're actually that big.
No. Could you imagine, if Pokemon are real and you had a whale lord?
Yeah.
A Pokemon bigger than a bus.
And you just let that thing out in your house on accident?
Yeah. You go into somebody's... we were battling on ships in the original game. So you're in a small apartment and somebody says, hey, kid, I want to fight you in my apartment. With my flaming... Cabin. Yeah. Here's my flaming dinosaur. You have a giant whale. Doesn't make any sense. But the correct answer is Bulbasaur.
I concede to that.
Bulbasaur, greatest starter. Charmander's obviously the cool one, but Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur's where it's at. Now, before we go any further, I want to do a quick shout out, if you don't mind, to our third member of our group, who's behind the scenes for everything, our benevolent overlord, Brandon. Huge shout out. He does. If you're listening to this right now, you're listening to it because of Brandon. He takes our terrible, terrible audio and cleans it up and edits it and makes it all beautiful and makes us sound remotely like we actually have a microphone or something. But I've known Brandon for several years. And I actually tried playing video games with Brandon one time.
Yeah?
And that's where he got his name, the Benevolent Overlord. So Brandon approached me and a couple of guys at work. Back when, I don't know about you, I play Minecraft 1 month every year.
Okay.
So like I'll go 11 months and I won't think a thing about Minecraft. And then for 4 weeks, I'm really into Minecraft. It's a great 4 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks, it's nostalgia. It's very relaxing. And then I get bored with it. Well, it was during one of those 4 week times, he started a server. And you have to pay for it. And so he's like, look, I'll pay for a server. It'll be private server. It'll just be some of the people that we know. It was him and his cousin, me and a couple other guys from work. And I was like, yeah, I'll play with you guys. So he started making rules.
Oh no!
But they were good rules. Like you can't tower.
That's how it starts.
Yes, that's how it starts. So he was like, you can't tower. Don't build to the sky. Then he was like, don't leave floating trees. Don't tear down half a tree and leave the other half.
You want to look nice.
Don't
litter.
Yes. Then he's don't dig holes without filling them in. So don't dig straight down to bedrock and then just leave because you're going to fall and die. All fine rules.
So this was in survival?
Survival. We said no cheating.
Okay.
No nothing. No building at spawn. Like it was very normal rules. Nothing that would forewarn me of what I was getting myself into. So he opens up the server and we're all very much, look, we'll all play together. We build together. No machines, can't build any kind of big machines that are going to lag the server. Very basic. So we log in, and me and the other guy we go off and start doing your regular Minecraft thing. Get wood, get food, do that. And Brandon's like, look, I'll be there in a little bit. Let me figure out how to make the server run perfect. Then it starts raining dolphins.
What?
It starts raining dolphins.
Okay.
Then I start getting struck by lightning, knocked off of mountains, teleported to random spots. And Brandon is invisible, just trying things out in God mode and just doing whatever he wants to do. So we keep playing. And then all of a sudden, him and his cousin always get diamonds as soon as we start. They're flying around while we're just lowly people. At one point, I log in and the whole server is like 1 frame per second. Can't figure out why. Like there's terrible lag. I go to Brandon's house and he has this monstrosity machine built that's lagging the entire server. And he replied with, well, it's my server. So the rest of us got together and built a communal church. Yeah. We made it the Church of Brandon. And all the rules he had texted us, we put on planks all through the church. And we built it in secret for weeks. He had no idea. And since then, it was the Church of Brandon, and anything he would do, Brandon would come in and be like, hey guys, it's time to sleep. And somebody in the group chat would be like, the Brandon giveth, the Brandon taketh away. And we would all say, bless Brandon. And so it's been years now, but even to this day, he is the benevolent overlord, Brandon. But I just want to thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate you. Our millions and millions of subscribers appreciate you as well.
You're the best, Brandon.
Absolute best. Absolute best.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey guys, I'm Overlord Brandon. As Overlord, you must bow down to my great powers. But anyways, I must add, I blew up the almighty church of Brandon and reconstructed it in my own vision, and we all got bored and quit playing Minecraft again. But that's enough of me. Back to Nick and Nick. I do appreciate everything, guys. Really, thanks.
So, one thing that I think that both of us agree on here at the Nick Squared podcast, very judge-free area.
Yeah.
We don't really hate on people for what they're into. And we talked last week about growing up as a nerd was very, it was kind of looked down upon, especially in the South.
Yeah, the South, you're really expected to...
Football.
Man up.
Man the heck up. You were on the chess team, you sucked. You were on the football team and couldn't tie your shoes. This man's going places.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think everybody can agree on, everybody's got a hobby. Everybody's
sure.
got something they're willing to spend money
Oh
on.
yeah.
People will spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to make their car louder or faster or whatever. And being a nerd is no exceptions. We're sitting here in my office right now, and you can tell I've probably spent a few dollars.
For sure.
So my question is, what is the most you've ever spent on a hobby item?
Single item?
Single item. Most money you've spent.
I'm very I don't like spending money, so I think I dropped $170.
$170?
I know that's chump change compared to things I've seen. I dropped $170 on a special edition for a Mortal Kombat game that came with a really nice statue.
As you try to defend it now.
No, listen, it's hand carved. This wasn't made in a factory. There's only 500 of them in existence.
I've bought a couple of numbered items, limited one out of 400,000.
And I know that's the most I've ever spent. And
so it was the game.
It was the game plus
statue
and DLC for the game later on that was exclusive. But yeah, that's it for me.
200, right at $200.
Yeah. Now for a more entertaining answer, what about you, Nick?
No. See, I'm very big on I was raised without money, and in my early years of adulthood, that didn't change. It actually got worse. I owed everybody money. Beforehand, I just didn't have it.
Right.
After that, I got a credit card, and they said you can buy anything you want. I said this is awesome. I had no idea I had to pay any of it back.
Right.
So I got real big into collecting nerd things, books, comic books. But I would always hunt them down secondhand, and I would try to find them slightly used. Slightly used is okay in my eyes for most things. Yeah. I've bought collector's edition video games. Back in the day, before streaming services, I would always buy like the collectible tin for movies.
Yeah.
So they would release like a $50, super collector's edition that had an extra 37 seconds of an ending scene, and it came in a metal tin. I was big on stuff like that. But I would say the most I have spent on one item, well, I wouldn't say, it's kind of one item. It was kind of like three items together, was my lightsaber that I got from Galaxy's Edge. That was... we walked in and said, look, lightsabers are only, like, at the time it was like $100 for the hilt. But, you want a blade for your lightsaber? It's an extra $100. You want a bag to carry it in? That's $70. You want a crystal to go? That's $70. So it quickly got up to almost $400.
Right.
To this day, I'm still extremely proud of my lightsaber.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I look back and I go, somebody tries to touch it, and I'm like,
yeah, it's a little... I've held it. It feels like, oh god, I can't mess this up.
It's a $400 flashlight.
Yeah.
It's a very, very nice flashlight.
Now, if I had unlimited money, not even unlimited money, but a lot, and someone said, hey, I got a mint copy, Action Comics #1. What do you say? I'd be like, okay, yep.
Couple $1 million?
Yeah.
I think the last one sold for almost like $6 million.
I think, yeah. I'd be like, yep. Let's do it. Deal.
So if money, you're Elon Musk.
Yeah. I'm getting Action Comics #1.
You throw millions.
Which, I know it's cliche, but the cover's really cool, and yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I would have that are just one of a kind, rare,
screen used lightsaber that
yeah.
Mark Hamill carried around.
The thing is, screen used stuff is rarely good quality.
It's trash.
Yeah, I mean that's why they're trying to be as cheap as possible. Screen used stuff just isn't that big of a deal to me.
We'll fix it in post production.
I'd rather
CG it.
Yeah, like you have these two. Nick has these two toy versions of the Green Ranger's flute blade thing and the
Wow. Okay.
It's been a while. And then the White Ranger's sword.
Yes.
They're awesome. Like, if you get a screen used one, it's gonna suck compared to
they're
that.
styrofoam.
Yeah, and you can't play cool music on it.
No. And I've actually watched interviews of the cast holding, like, fan-made versions of their weapons, and they are in awe at how nice they are.
Yeah.
Because they're hitting people with them.
Yeah.
And everybody's wearing spandex, so they
Right.
have to be essentially pool noodles that are painted.
Pretty much. And then, God, we did a tribute to Jason David Frank at the beginning of this, and I didn't even say the name of the Green Ranger knife, right?
Goodness gracious. Anyways. No, I've seen, and I think, thanks to social media, I'm constantly reminded of one, of how poor I am, and two, of how cool people with money can build things. And I've seen people build hidden offices that have every helmet from Star Wars in glass cases, and Han Solo in the carbonite as a coffee table. And they're like, oh yeah, I spent $50,000 on that, and they put their Coca-Cola can.
No coaster.
Yeah, no coaster, not a care in the world.
Have you seen Joe Manganiello's basement? He's really into D&D, and my God, his basement is just a dungeon. It is a dungeon master's dungeon, and he has dragon heads up there. He has a mind flayer head. He has a beholder hung up there, I'm pretty sure, but it's just fantastic. Just fantastic. And, of course I would have all that.
Sure.
But as of right now, with the income I have, I get things that are neat. But I don't blow the bank on it anymore.
No. I still have a hard time. I follow a couple authors, and they'll post, hey, we've got a collector's edition of our book coming out, and it's $59, and it has slightly different cover art than the regular $20 one. And I see that, and in my mind I go, $20? and I'm still in my mind, and I'll, especially when some books come out and they're real thin.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's a novella. Still $20. Well, that's 80 pages. I'm going to read that in an hour. And then I feel bad because, I didn't know this until recently. Somebody told me that almost every comic book is online.
Pretty much.
We can get a monthly subscription, just read any comic.
Yeah.
I've got 3 long boxes that I've spent thousands of dollars on that it's not worth the paper it's printed on. And I look at that and I'm like, wait, what have I been doing with my life?
Right. A lot of space saved.
Yeah. And they're very heavy to move.
I mean, you could say the same thing for books.
No, you can't. No.
What, Amazon?
No.
Kindle?
No. I sell my books on Kindle. I still don't have one.
Oh.
I like the paper. I'm a purist.
Sure, yeah, but
I like to smell the books. I'm that weird guy that goes into a bookstore and just looks around and picks up a book. Oh, it's good stuff. Somebody's going to see me in a bookstore. It's going to sniff that book over there. Just wait. Oh, it's good paper.
He comes in here pretty often. Yeah. Just
security runs me out. The book sniffer's back.
These kids never learn.
They never learn. They keep sniffing the books. I will say, I'm not shocked. I'm glad there are still bookstores around, but I'm honestly.
It's shocking that there's bookstores around.
Yeah.
There's more bookstores than comic shops. Which I guess that makes sense, but I'm salty about it.
So, I don't know where everyone's listening from, but if you're in the Carrollton, Georgia area, and you want to get into comics, and you don't care about your kidneys, Quest Comics is the comic book store. So you watch Big Bang Theory, and you see Stewart's comic book store. You watch Comic Book Men, and you see Kevin Smith's comic book store. And they're brightly colored, big windows, super nice editions of comics on the walls, superhero costumes all over the place, smiling cast of clerks ready to help you. And then you go to Quest. What was your first experience when you first walked into Quest?
First time I walked into Quest, my eyes had to adjust because it was daytime outside, and it was 4 a.m. inside of Quest.
Yes, they had plywood on the windows. Because it's an old warehouse,
But
isn't it?
yes, an old factory of some kind.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
think,
You're
or-
right. It's factory.
Um, but once my eyes adjusted, every wall is covered with trade paperbacks and graphic novels and
Sure.
good ones, like the best ones, all of them, even A to Z. Um, they have their counter where they sell their dice and cards.
Sure.
It's a little scary.
So
At first, and you meet the people and they're so helpful, and they will talk to you. And if you need something, they're like, "We will get it."
absolutely.
But there's a corner where I think the bathroom is. That is the creepiest corner of any building I've ever been in.
Absolutely. So it's one big, giant square essentially.
Yeah, with a hidden door.
With a hidden door, which I didn't know about till about the third time I went in. One thing is it's got fluorescent lights that are motion censored.
Yes.
So when you walk in, 2/3 of the comic book store is pitch black. And as you walk, the lights will do that hum, that flick, 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 hum, and light up and then turn off behind you. And you can only see what's immediately around you.
Right.
Now, my first time going in, I found out there's a comic book shop near me. Got in my car, wanted to go buy some comics. So I get in there, and we walk in, old factory, no windows. The front glass had plywood on it, so it was pitch black on the inside. And there was a lady who I think she's the mother of the owner, was sitting behind the counter, and the counter's in the middle of the comic book store. And she had a crib, no baby. So I just assumed there's a child that frequents this establishment,
Sure.
like a grandchild or something. So I'm looking at comics, and I'm shuffling around, and like Nick said, great selection, thousands upon thousands, a lot of square footage. And I turn behind me, and she's staring at me, and she's barely moving, so the lights around her aren't on. And she's rocking the bassinet.
The empty bassinet.
The empty bassinet, just slowly.
Ooh.
And my wife, who was my fiance at the time, said that she had to go use the restroom and left to go use the restroom. And I'm watching her go down a dark hallway in the corner, lights flickering behind her. She comes back not even 30 seconds later. I said, "Hey, you okay?" And she goes, "I can't use the bathroom. I can't do it. We need to leave. And it was a terrifying experience. But as we were leaving, and I'll never forget this, the lady behind the counter, she asked me, very old, probably at least 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
Knew Moses on a first name basis. And she asked, she's like, "Is there anything you're looking for?" And I said, I'm really big into the Essentials comics, which are those over there. For anybody who doesn't know, Essentials are, it's like 20 comic issues of like the old Golden Age ones. So Journey into Mystery 82, first appearance of Thor, is in Thor Essentials 1, and that's where it starts. And then it's like 20 issues, and you can just buy them in a big dictionary book and just read them all at once. Well, they were out of print then. I said, "But I'm looking for number 2, Thor Essentials 2. And without missing a beat, she goes, "That's a really hard book to find." And I said, "Yeah, I can't find it anywhere." So she pulls out a piece of paper, pulls out a pen. I'm not sure if she was writing in blood or not. And she goes, "Give me your name and number. I'll call you." So I give her my name and number like any, red-blooded American. Didn't think anything else about it. 6 months go by. I'm out of state visiting family in Utah. Get a phone call. Number I don't know. And this was before we want to talk to you about the warranty on your car. So I answered. And that same dry voice, "Nick, I got your Thor." I said, "You what?" "Thor Essentials 2. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm still looking for it." And she goes, "Retail's like $19. I said, "Yeah, but it took you 6 months to find it." And she goes, "You're right. $17. I'm sorry." And tried to go lower on the price. And since then, I don't care about my kidneys. I don't care if I lose body parts in there. They have done phenomenal customer service. Any comic, no matter how obscure it is, they'll find it for you. and get it to you in a pretty good time. 6 months.
And they never try to upcharge you for anything.
No.
And always super nice. And if you play Magic, if you're in the area and you play Magic, that's what that hidden door is for. It opens up, and they have this whole area, tons of folding tables to play Magic on. I'm sure they have D&D there.
They do. Friday Night Magic. They have D&D. They have Pokemon tournaments. They had all kinds of stuff.
Wonderful place to go. You just got to get over it and get in there. It's real creepy. But once you spend some time there, it feels homey after a while.
It really does. I prefer to go there than anywhere else. But again, first time 10, 15 years ago was terrifying. But then, like I said, everybody spends something. I've seen people spend thousands of dollars on a football.
Yeah.
This game used or signed, and I don't get the drive to that. But hey, if that's what you're into, by all means, get your football. I don't think I could ever spend $1 million on a comic book.
No, not unless I had unlimited money, especially one you're not gonna read.
I'm convinced if I had unlimited money, I would probably die really soon because I would try to be Batman or Iron Man. Like you could be Logan Paul and buy Pokemon cards, or hear me out, I could build a super suit. Like you have unlimited money. Why am I buying a remade DeLorean? Why am I not trying to build an actual time machine? Like I feel like Elon Musk is the only one that's actually trying to do some weird stuff out there.
I wish we would have gotten Tony Stark instead of Elon Musk.
In our multiverse?
Yeah. I feel like Tony has his head on his shoulders, and Elon is kind of he's a loose cannon in every sense of the word.
But could you imagine in our society, especially with the way our society is now, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine a philanthropist playboy who makes guns? Like, these aren't just people who own Twitter. They're
making missiles.
They're making missiles. They're proud that they are blowing up other countries, and we're over there like, hey, put them on the front of the magazine.
Yeah. How come none of those guys are super famous? Because they exist.
Yeah. Where are these people? We have Tony Stark. Problem is they're still making missiles. Oh my goodness. But if I had unlimited money, like, I don't know. I would be spending a lot of money, but I'd be doing some weird stuff. Build a lair.
Oh yeah, a lair, yeah.
Oh, yeah, like that's
like not a man cave or play a lair.
Yeah. I'd be trying to do some, like, I remember watching Mythbusters. I don't remember the gentleman's name from it.
Adam Savage?
Yes.
Okay.
I would be like him, where he's like, we could build a real lightsaber. And they're over there in insulated suits cutting through sheets of metal. And I'm like, I would do that, but I don't have that skill. So I would look at it and be like, I could run my hand through it fast enough. It not hurt me. Like,
your whole arm catches on fire.
I have now nicked the nub.
Yeah.
So I agree. Everyone's got something to spend money on. I'm into comics, but I'm not $1 million into comics. Even books, as much as I love books, I couldn't spend $1 million on one book.
Well, apparently you don't have to. You keep finding these signed first editions at Goodwill.
That's one thing. Being in the South, I have learned that if you're into football, you never see footballs at thrift stores.
No.
You never see any kind of sporting equipment, any kind of hunting equipment.
You see, no. You do see a lot of lacrosse gear at Goodwill.
Yes. Tennis, golf, but you never see cleats. You never see basketballs. You never see basketball hoops, nothing like that. But you do see books.
Yeah.
You see a lot of books. And a lot of them have ended up here in this office. I enjoy books and I enjoy bargains. So, give me a book for $1. It doesn't really make it be a cookbook. It's $1. I have a Lord of the Rings cookbook in my kitchen right now. I have never used it because it's a lot of vegetables.
They released an Alien cookbook, like Ridley Scott's Alien cookbook.
No.
There's a Halo cookbook.
No.
Yeah, they did. It's great. I've heard there's good stuff in there. I'm not gonna do it, but
At what point in time are they just signing off on putting their titles, their intellectual properties? Like underwear, I get it. Clothes, sure.
there's a whole
lunchbox?
there's a whole division. There's a whole office of people at all of these companies going, okay, let's put it out. Let's put out everything.
And somebody came out and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
what does Master Chief eat in between fighting the Covenant and the Flood?"
Yeah. Speaking of putting things out no matter what, our new tennis rackets are on sale. www.givemeyourmoney.com.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing merch. Slightly worn underwear. We will actually both wear the same pair. So you get the Nick Squared experience. $10,000.
All of my socks are starting to get a hole right where the toe is.
Perfect. Let's put it on the merch store.
Yeah, I gotta be able to make money off of those. That's a waste.
Brandon, if you could help us with that, we want a merch store where we can sell all of our used junk. Pots and pans, slightly used. Didn't somebody sell bath water one time? I feel like
yeah, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon had some.
Our benevolent overlord Brandon has a we're not judging him. He just has an extensive collection of used bath water.
Like we said, people like collecting certain things, and we don't judge anyone.
We don't judge. But I've noticed, you know, I'm all for sponsorships. You know, I'm not going to be one of those guys that you know, poo-poos on sponsorships, and then in 3 years we're being sponsored by Redcon or you know, Skull Candy headphones. I'm all for that. I'm all for merch. But at some point in time, if somebody came up to me and said, your fans want, you know, toenail clippers with your name on it, do they?
Yeah, I don't think anyone.
Do they want that? Are there people out there that said, man, if I could get some Chris Hemsworth, you know, hairbrushes, sign me up.
Yeah.
This is what I need in my life. I want to know what Master Chief is eating. I'm assuming at that point in society, it's a gray block of nutrition that has no taste. It's just like a pill. They're not eating steak.
Well, I realized something that it might have been a holdover when we were children. You know, when we were children, you know, every cereal had you know, it would come out with limited editions. Like, this is the Batman cereal.
Yes,
Batman
yeah, sure.
Popsicles, Batman Kool-Aid jammers,
Spider-Man Pop-Tarts.
Right. They tasted the same, but they had Batman on the front. Or, well, not Pop-Tarts.
You feel like they taste the same?
No, I'm talking about like the Kool-Aids and the Capri Suns and gummies. They taste the same.
You think they taste the same?
I know they do.
No.
Anyway, what I'm getting at. Oh, you know, they've released limited edition flavors for some of these, but some of these cereals were just sugar with, you know, Batman shaped, or macaroni and cheese. You know, you have different shaped macaroni
I remember the
and
Batman
cheese.
macaroni.
Yeah,
yes.
you have different shaped macaroni and cheese.
Tasted completely different than the normal.
So they come up, you know, a razor, you know, Gillette razors.
Yeah.
I found a Gillette razor that had, like, you know, there was themed, like it had Atlanta Braves or the Falcons, or I think one of them even had the Batman symbol on it. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Gen X and baby boomers wouldn't have stood for this.
No.
Because that's the same razor. That razor's going to cut my face exactly the same. But I was like, oh man, a Batman razor? That'd be awesome.
I'm Bruce Wayne.
And that's because that marketing started hard in the 80s and 90s and
absolutely
really went in hard for us, and we never got over it.
How unprofessional.
I'm so sorry, guys.
And we just got copyrighted.
Yep, that's Apple's going to get us for that one.
We all laugh about it, but the windows get busted in as Apple SWAT teams
Tim
come
Cook.
in. It's Wozniak, run!
He has nothing to do with Apple now.
I know. Isn't that weird?
No.
You don't think so?
Since we've been alive, he's had nothing to do with Apple.
Do you think it's weird that people who are there at the founding of it, can so easily be like, all right, it's public now. Okay, bye.
Well, you know, sometimes it's not, you know, part of their plan, but yeah. Like, you know the story of McDonald's?
No.
The McDonald's brothers were out before Ray Kroc is the quote-unquote founder of McDonald's. We're getting out of nerd stuff here. We're getting into food history. This is the food history portion
I'm
of the podcast.
The food safety manager. But I mean, you see, like, we watched, for our generation, I am a purist. I do enjoy Star Wars 4, 5, and 6. But 1, 2, and 3 I saw in theaters.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
That was our generation's Star Wars.
Yes.
My dad still swears there's only one Jedi, and that's Luke Skywalker. Mace Windu was
pretty cool Jedi.
Bad to the bone. And so I remember being a kid, and I remember even as a teenager watching interviews with George Lucas, just eating up every word. And George Lucas is not a very energetic person, and they'd ask him,
"Oh, you don't think this is energetic?"
I think this is extremely energetic.
I feel a lot of zeal and creativity in his voice.
This is exactly what I feel. But he would do interviews, and they would say, what are you going to do for 7, 8, 9? I'm not doing them. I refuse to do a single. There's not going to be any Star Wars TV shows. There's not going to be any Star Wars movies. There's nothing Star Wars. And I remember being young and being like, it's just over. Like, I'm just not going to see any new Star Wars. And then he sold it, and I was like, how could you sell Star Wars?
It wasn't his anymore.
It wasn't his anymore.
It quit being his, and he knew it. And he could, he said so.
Yeah. I mean, even
that belongs to us.
Us now. But I mean, I remember, I did remember, and I'm a liar. I'm a filthy, filthy liar. Benevolent Overlord Brandon's going to get me. Bungie owned Halo.
Yeah, they created Halo.
Created Halo. Phenomenal soundtrack.
Wonderful. Changed first-person shooters forever.
Absolutely. Then Bungie's out.
Bungie's out.
And then they go into
343 Industries.
Yep. And they turn around and they say, we're going to make a brand new game. It's like Halo. But it's not.
You're talking about
Destiny. And I remember playing Destiny, and everyone was like, it's just like Halo.
No, it's not.
The controls were just like Halo.
Sure, yeah, but every other FPS is too.
Absolutely now. But, and I don't know, just looking back on it, I wonder, how would we feel if tomorrow 2 other Nicks came in and said, we want to buy your podcast? You're out. And then it gets wildly successful because we're not part of it anymore. And we see billboards everywhere. Nick squared, Nick this, Nick that. And there's Benevolent Overlord Brandon's face and the 2 new Nicks, because they're going to keep him on.
Yeah.
And you just know, like, you're that guy who had a coffee shop. I started Disney. No, you didn't. You're out.
Yeah.
You're gone. Do you think they care? Or do you think they get their money and they just run?
I know what I would do.
Get the money and run?
Yeah.
You would sell this whole establishment.
If Nicolas Cage walked in here right now and said, hey, I'm going to buy your podcast, okay? Yeah, I would do it. I'd be like, okay, yeah. No, nice.
Well,
nice to meet you, sir.
That's because it's Nicolas Cage. And I agree.
He deserves this.
Yeah.
In fact, we'd like you to meet our next guest, Nicholas.
The third Nicholas. Every guest on this show will only be Nicks. It's the famous Nicks in our time. Or they legally changed their name.
Name 3.
What, famous Nicks?
Yeah. Yeah.
I named 2 right now. Well, there's that one guy, Nick. You remember him?
Nick.
He did that thing that one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
No, I would. There's very few things I wouldn't sell in my life.
Yeah, no, I would sell lots of things. Money's really cool.
The entire time I was growing up, I was always told money won't buy happiness. And
boy, it keeps you from being sad, though.
and I watch famous people. They'll be like, it's been really hard. We're taking 3 months off to go spend 3 months in Cancun just to recenter ourselves. And my eye twitches. I'm like, 3 months off? I barely get 2 days off a week.
Yeah.
What do you mean 3 months? It's really, really hard. You know how hard it is to pick 3 meals a day to make for a family? Forever. They're hungry every day. Every day they wake up. They don't say, hey, Dad, good morning. It's good to... What's for breakfast? What's for lunch? What's for dinner? Can we have a snack? That's the hardest question in my life right now, is what am I going to cook for the rest of my life?
Yeah, anyone out there that is either about to have a kid or just had one, it takes a long time for them to make their own food.
Man, it really does. And also, if anybody wants to sponsor us and throw in a couple $1 million to help out two Nicks and a benevolent overlord Brandon, we accept donations in all forms. Cash, gold, silver, Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin still a thing?
Not for long, it looks like.
Oh, I was never into cryptocurrency because I didn't understand it's money
Right.
you can't see. Money already to me, it's paper.
Right.
And I was in Europe when the euro came out, and they were like, we were in Germany, we had the mark. And so I was like, look, I have money. And they're like, not anymore, you don't.
Huh.
That's not money. I'm like, no, this is like 150 marks. And they were like, it's not, it's useless. You missed the time frame to convert it over to euros. And I watched how quickly paper and coins lost their relevancy. So paper money to me already is weird. It's just, debit cards, everything's numbers on a screen. But Dogecoin, we made money off of a meme, and it's worth billions of dollars for 37 seconds.
Yeah.
But that's not to say we won't accept it.
Yeah, just make it snappy.
Yeah, we're really sick and tired of working. Oh my goodness, we're getting off of nerd topics. So we got 10 minutes left. A few more questions. Trying to get some more questions and trying to get you guys to learn more about us because we're awesome. Two of the greatest Nicks I've ever met. I haven't met Nicolas Cage though, so
Yeah. He's really what every Nick when they're born they strive to be a Nicolas Cage.
absolutely more so now than when he was extremely famous. I love watching. He has 14 movies come out every year, and they're great.
Yes.
He just says yes, just says yes. But so one thing in movies, in particular, I've noticed there was some fluctuations over the years. You had movies that had scores,
Yeah.
instrumentals, people singing in Nordic dialects, and it was beautiful. Then you had movies that just took popular songs
Yeah.
by Linkin Park or by whoever was famous at the time,
Sure, yeah.
and just said, "Hey, Eminem, you want to do the soundtrack for Venom?"
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, so it's a love-hate thing. But what would you say, favorite music score? Favorite music, anything from a movie? It has to be in a movie or
Sure.
a TV show.
So this is gonna be pretty lame.
SpongeBob SquarePants?
No.
Oh.
The Scott Pilgrim movie.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World, yes. So the soundtrack, now the soundtrack and the score obviously are two different things.
Sure.
The soundtrack, amazing. One of the best movie soundtracks ever.
Really?
Ever, yeah. Me and you were into different kind of music.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey,
like-
hey, not judging. Wow. That's
Sorry.
that's the soundtrack. From
Sorry,
Scott
it is
Pilgrim.
not. But so the
Brandon
soundtrack,
can edit that out.
absolutely amazing. You got Beck. That's it. No, Frank Black or Black Francis, Pixies. No, there's no Pixies in there, but Black Francis has some stuff. And then of course songs that Beck wrote, that Sex Bob-omb, the band in the movie perform, are on the soundtrack. Great soundtrack. I have it on CD. I love it. Then the score, Nigel Godrich, chiptunes. It sets the atmosphere amazingly. Nick is shaking his head. He doesn't get this.
No idea.
Love 8-bit music.
I thought the answer was going to be
And
completely
then-
obvious. You just went left.
Sorry, man. I love it. It hits a spot in me that just lights something. Scott Pilgrim in general is.
You're fans of the comic.
I love it. It's my favorite series of books.
Okay.
It's my favorite series of graphic novels.
Do you feel the movie did it justice?
Yes,
Really?
I do.
Okay.
I do think that there is a series is coming out, an anime series, and I think it's going to do it more justice because they perfectly adapt the first book. Perfectly adapt
The
the
movie?
first. Perfectly adapts the
that
first
was only
book.
the first book.
No. You let me finish.
Okay. You got me
Perfect-
excited. Your
It
energy.
perfectly adapts the first book and
Okay.
then speed runs the other five. The other five. There's 6 books. Just speed runs through them. But the first book is adapted perfectly, but the soundtrack and the score is just absolutely phenomenal. for people like me, I suppose.
I watched the movie,
Yeah.
finished it, and said, "That's cool."
That's how most people
I
felt
think
about it.
The biggest thing I took away from it was vegan power.
Yeah, 10. You know how they say you only use 10% of your brain?
Yeah.
Because the other 90% are filled with curds and whey.
Oh my goodness. All right. So anyway, it's a wrong answer. So I'm sorry. You chose the wrong Pokemon.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Wrong score. No. Again, not judging.
Other than that, anything by John Williams.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Still your answer? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. Nice. I enjoy regular music and songs that come on with movies and TV shows, especially in modern movies.
Yeah.
Like I said, they threw in Eminem on the Venom soundtrack. I've worked out to that song several times. Nothing wrong with it. But to go through and listen to like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack.
That is a score.
Yes. Star Wars, especially the opening, when the crawl happens, you know what you're watching.
Exactly.
Indiana Jones.
You can be in an X room, not know what they put on. If you hear dun 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 dun,
absolutely,
you know they're watching Indiana Jones. You know if Lord of the Rings is on. You know if Harry Potter is on. It's a Harry Potter. I mean, it's
absolutely.
I think that John Williams did that too.
Yeah, he did. I didn't notice Harrison Ford hates the Indiana Jones song.
Harrison Ford hates everything.
He hates Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford does not like a single Harrison Ford property.
No.
He's a curmudgeon. He's like, imagine how I'm going to be when I get older, honestly.
You're going to be Jeff Goldblum when you're older.
True.
You have no choice. Ooh. Interesting.
We're both, me and, no one knows what, people who know me obviously know what I look like, but if you don't.
Jeff Goldblum.
I'm quite lanky.
No, that's a lie. He is Jeff Goldblum. Looks like it. Facial features.
You're gonna give me a big head. I'm not that handsome.
The Great Value version of Jeff Goldblum. I look like. No, but he does. He sounds like him. Does a great.
We have
impression.
Jeff Goldblum at home.
Jeff Goldblum at home. But I watched an interview, or not an interview. I watched an award show, and they said, now presenting the award, Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford comes out, and they're ba 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 ba, and he gets up and he goes. Hate that effing song. It follows me around everywhere. And I've watched interviews with Mark Hamill, and he does a phenomenal Harrison Ford impression. And Harrison Ford hates that he does Harrison Ford so well. And he's just an angry old guy now.
It's weird, because Mark Hamill says they're friends. He never looks happy to be in the room with Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill's the only one that says they're friends. Harrison Ford has never been like my best friend, Mark Hamill.
My best friend was this guy that I met at a bar. We never talked again.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's how I imagine Harrison Ford is like. I don't know.
I watch old westerns every once in a while, and I just envision that's how Harrison Ford lives now.
Speaking of old westerns, those old westerns is probably where the score for Indiana Jones came from.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of that, very big bandy stuff, blasting horns.
Love it.
Really, really happy to get out there and shoot some cattle. I've never watched a western. I'm just kidding. I do like some westerns.
I love how music can just affect. In movies, you can build the scene, and watching the other day, both Nick and I recently had children, not together, obviously, but we just had children right around the same time.
Yeah.
And my wife and I are up with the child, as new babies do. Excuse me. Very unprofessional for me to cough. And at one point in time, we were up. She was feeding. And we started getting ready to go back to sleep. And my wife, I don't know if your wife's this way, when she wakes up, she can't just go back to sleep. It takes 30, 40 minutes, takes an hour to really unwind again. Even if she's only up for a second, it just restarts her clock.
No, I think my wife has narcolepsy.
Oh, never mind. But so she was laying down. I had fallen back asleep. The baby had fallen back asleep. She couldn't sleep, so she put on Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Which, if you're going to fall asleep during a Lord of the Rings movie, needs to be The Fellowship. A lot of
Very
walking.
calm movie.
Very calm movie. But so I wake up 4 or 5 in the morning, and the Rohirrim are about to storm, and he's giving the speech and smacking swords on spears. And I mean, I woke up, and my child woke up, 2 weeks old, and him and I are just sitting there, just in awe of this scene, and the as the horses, and I was just like, they're not talking anymore. It's just music, and it's beautiful, and it sets the scene so well. Old horror movies.
Oh, God, yes.
When it would get silent and something about to happen.
Shout out to Harry Manfredini. I know you're listening.
If you want to be on our show or buy our used underwear.
Scary. I believe Friday the 13th score is the scariest music I've ever heard. The screeching violin, and they own the first movie. They only played music when the killer was around. The jump scares that weren't the killer had no music.
Wow.
The music, if there was music, it's because the real killer was there.
Now, I will say my favorite horror music score, Voodoo Apocalypse.
I remember that. So, yeah, you let me borrow that.
Yes, Voodoo Apocalypse. If you haven't seen it, which if you haven't seen it, you're missing out. But they filmed it to look like, I think it was supposed to be like in the 50s, or no, like the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's filmed. It looks like old film where it's scratching and stuff. It's dull colors. But this guy is playing funky bass lines and creating zombies with the funk.
Yep.
And so it's these two cops, and it's it's Nacho Libre style, Jack Black humor, so it's awesome. But the score is just bluesy funk, and he would look, and the camera would zoom in on their face. You want to hear the funk? And he would just start smacking the bass, and then people would just start twitching and turn into zombies. He would control hordes of zombies with the bass. And I watched that movie, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, best movie. And whoever convinced a production team and everybody here to be a part of it and act so well, that's who needs to be running our country.
There you go.
Not 90-year-old people.
No. The producers of Voodoo Apocalypse
run
2024.
2024. I was watching. We're almost done. When I was watching the Macy's Day Parade. My favorite part of it by far was they had President Biden and his wife call into the parade, and there was about a minute where he couldn't figure out how to work a phone.
Oh no!
And it was
Uncle Joe.
It was. I promise you. It was me talking to my grandparents.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's all of them.
Are you that? Yeah, but I mean, realistically, you're a mill worker. How old is he? 80-something?
Yes, I guess like 75 or
75.
something like that.
You're 75 as a mill worker. They're making you retire.
Yeah.
In most cases. You don't see very many 75-year-olds entering or staying in the workforce.
No.
Not even managers of Walmart. Let the guy have a nap.
Yeah, chill. These guys need to go home.
You can't tell me that those suits are comfortable.
Yeah.
If they did an interview and just randomly popped up at the White House and he's in a robe and pajamas and like fuzzy rabbit slippers, let him be.
Let him be.
Just let him wear his slippers.
God. I just want to give him a recliner.
Yes.
I hope Joe Biden has a recliner. That guy, he just conks out sleeping in the recliner. That's what I want for him.
They bust into the Oval Office. He's got his feet.
Oh man. Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I don't know how to do Joe Biden.
I remember when Bush was president and all over Saturday Night Live.
Oh my God,
he was awesome. Just to make fun of.
George Bush was the most unintentionally funny president ever
in the history. I'll never forget. I was watching Saturday Night Live, and they did phenomenal impressions of him. And on one of the episodes, squinty eye, Al Qaeda, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to bring him to justice.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff. And he didn't mean, like you said, he didn't mean to be.
No.
Man, he was funny.
Everyone was still really cool with each other then.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, because, God, if you make fun of Donald Trump in front of some people, They get pretty irate about it.
Isn't it weird?
It is weird.
It's weird. But then again, some people have that same energy if you make fun of their football team.
It's a lot like that.
Or if you make fun of, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Some people
What?
are cool. See?
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
But some people are cool about it. If you go to a convention, and I've watched videos of people walking around and titling cosplayers. So they'll see somebody who's obviously, Mario.
Yeah.
And they'll call him something completely random.
Hey, look, it's Zelda.
Yeah. And they'll do stuff like that. And these nerds get mad. And I'm a nerd.
Look, man, if you ever find yourself getting angry, and no one has taken anything from you or hurt you, you're probably in the wrong. You're probably in the wrong. Because, unless someone insults you directly, takes something from you, won't leave you alone after you've asked, tries to hurt you, anger is probably not the appropriate response.
Sure. Unless you're making fun of Star Wars.
Yeah, then you can get violent in that case.
Yeah, you deserve everything that comes.
Go ahead and
forget
all your values.
Being an introvert nerd that especially has children, especially young children and new babies, nobody wants to hang out with somebody that has a baby, except for other people with babies. Because they just want to share in the misery of no sleep and caring for something that is defecating on you.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not around people anymore.
Well, that might have something to do with the pandemic. Because I am not an introvert.
I would love to blame it. Nick, you don't have a lot of friends? No, it's COVID. COVID ended my friendships. I didn't have friendships before. What are you talking about?
This is going to sound odd. I'm very social. Very.
Really?
Yeah. Like, before the pandemic, I liked hanging out with large groups of people. It fed I don't know why. Maybe I'm a narcissist that likes it when people laugh at his jokes.
Wow.
But
we also give therapy sessions here on the Nick Squared podcast. If you'd like to get some good quality help from non-licensed. Actually, no. I'll tell you about. I'm licensed. I'm a food safety manager now. So I could obviously give some sort of advice. I have a master's degree in creative writing, and I've really debated going back and getting my PhD. But I won't because my wife said she refuses to call me doctor.
And then why would you?
Why would you get it?
PhD?
Yeah, why? And I've told her she was like, so if you're at a restaurant, somebody starts choking, and they say we need a doctor. I'm like, I'm a doctor. And you're laughing just like she's laughing, but she just look at me. She'd be like, if you're not that. Is
there a doctor in here? I'm a doctor. Would you like to see my creative writing thesis?
I can give you references of books to read in the hospital as you're recovering. Like I'm still needed.
Meanwhile,
could you choke a little quieter, please, sir? I'm trying to tell you about why Stephen King's Dark Tower series is completely revolutionary. You're being very rude, sir. I see you're laying on the ground. You're not even looking at me.
Oh, yeah.
But no, so honestly, why go into debt with all the student loans and get a doctoral degree if they're not going to call you doctor?
Yeah, that's insane.
I'm really actually kind of upset about that now. I need more therapy. With Nick Squared Podcast, you can buy our underwear or get therapy lessons.
I think I'm going to stop talking to you now, Nick. I think we've reached a point where your insane ramblings are enough for this episode.
You're welcome.
You're welcome for the Nick Squared Podcast.
I've been Nick.
And I've been Nick.
But I have also been Nick.
I'm Nick as well.
You're Nick?
You're Nick.
We're Nick. We are one. You're welcome. Hope you enjoyed. See you next week. Nick Squared Podcast.